I have been wanting to talk about what happened in Michigan. There's a phrase now that I never heard of before, and I'm not really sure what it means, although to me it sounds like it's bad, called rape insurance.
Right.
This is now the law in Michigan?
It is the law in Michigan.
And what does it mean?
So basically, they banned abortion coverage in all of their plans, and not just public plans, people's private healthcare plans. 80% of plans prior to this point covered abortion. And so now none of the plans in Michigan can. You have to buy a separate rider for abortion coverage if you want it, and there's no exceptions for rape or incest. So if you have a regular plan and you didn't buy the separate abortion rider and you get raped and you become pregnant from that, you are not allowed to use your coverage, your regular coverage, to have an abortion. You have to have thought ahead and bought that separate rider to plan for something like that, which is why they're calling it rape insurance, because who plans to be raped, right?
Yeah. Well, first of all, how can the state order, right, that tell the private insurance companies, we're talking about private insurance policies, correct?
Right.
How can the state tell private insurance companies what they can and cannot sell?
Right. It's a good question. And the argument on the other side is...
It's like saying you can't have dental care as part of your health care plan, right?
Right. Except that they, don't think that people should have to pay into an insurance plan that covers abortion if they are opposed to abortion.
Yeah, but how many people are, first of all, half of your population is not having an abortion ever.
Right.
And then not every woman is having an abortion. How costly is this, right?
I don't think it's about that. I think it's about people feeling like their money is being used to pay for abortion when they oppose the procedure. So
was this, how did this happen in Michigan? Is this the first state that this has happened in?
No. There are about 8 states where this has happened. And Michigan, because it sort of garnered the nickname rape insurance, sort of got the country's attention finally. But this has been happening for years. What happened is they used a really archaic procedure whereby last year the legislature passed this bill and Governor Snyder vetoed it. And so a group of anti-abortion activists went and got a bunch of signatures on a petition. And basically, if you get 8% of the people in Michigan who voted in the last election, you can force the legislature to vote on this again, and it bypasses a governor's signature. So that's what happened. It was 8% of the people who voted in the last election signed this petition. They forced the legislature to vote it again. The legislature passed it again, and Snyder has no power to veto it this time.
So I can't blame it on Rick Snyder.
No, you can't. He would have vetoed it. He opposes it.
Yeah. Well, I think so poorly of him that I was ready.
I'm sorry I took that away from you.
I was ready to blame him. But also blame the legislature instead, and then some of these yahoos in Michigan who are reporting this through. Has this been challenged in the courts, this law, in any of the other states so far?
Not yet. But it's going to be challenged in Michigan. I know. I have a feeling. And Planned Parenthood, ACLU, all the usual suspects are looking in different avenues to challenge it, either legally or legislatively. So.
And is this rape insurance even a product that's available?
It's going to be called abortion insurance, but you have to have it if you. So the reason people are calling it rape insurance is if you get raped and you become pregnant from that, you cannot then buy the abortion rider. You had to have planned ahead of time and bought that in order for it to cover your abortion. Otherwise, you have to pay for it out of pocket.
You have to have it ahead of time.
You have to know, I might be raped in the future, therefore I'm going to buy this special abortion rider that I will need in case I am and become pregnant.
Isn't this in direct contradiction to the Affordable Care Act? And wouldn't that override whatever happens at the state level?
Well, the Affordable Care Act sets up healthcare exchanges, and it allows for states to ban abortion coverage on their exchanges if they want to. So it kind of allows for this. In fact, there was more abortion coverage before the Affordable Care Act than after, because this kind of flagged red states that don't want abortion coverage to go and then pass legislation that says we don't want to cover it. So now there's fewer people covering it than there were before, which I think is an unintended consequence of the Affordable Care Act.
Of the Affordable Care Act.
Right.
Is there any talk about amending or fixing the Affordable Care Act?
Well, the one thing
they've got to get it.
Yeah.
There's other priorities. I understand. They have to get it working right first. They have to get people to sign up first, right? And then.
The Affordable Care Act is a hot mess, and one of the obviously the Supreme Court is taking up the contraception mandate next year, requiring employers to cover contraception. And so I think if they tried now to require some plans to cover abortion, it would be an even huger fight, and they're not going to pick that right now.